Hi, today is Monday, February 27th, 2017, and this is a Swede Speaks. I think you have heard about this conflict going on between President Trump and Sweden, which really has evolved into an inter-Swedish conflict, or a debate at least. And Swedish politicians and Swedish mainstream media have been triggered by what President Trump said about Sweden, and they are triggered about that some Sweden Democrats wrote an article in Wall Street Journal stating that what Trump said was right. Actually, what Trump said was an understatement of the actual situation about what's going on in Sweden. Some Swedes have been writing in different American magazines about how Sweden is much better than what Trump says. Some others have been writing that Trump is actually right. This has been a debate which has stirred a lot of conflict, because it triggers the Swedish government, it triggers the mainstream media, and you want to know why? There's a very simple explanation to why. The simple explanation is this. You are not supposed to criticize Sweden. The funny thing is, Sweden has never had any problems criticizing others. Sweden has criticized the United States for, well, as long as I can remember. For instance, when Olof Palme was Minister of Education in Sweden, he demonstrated together with the North Vietnamese ambassador against the United States. And but he wouldn't criticize the Soviet Union or DDR, the German so-called Democratic Republic. It wasn't very democratic, but anyway. And there are lots of examples like that. For instance, this picture of the Swedish Vice Prime Minister Isabella Lövin and the female ministers signing a paper that she is not even looking at. Interesting. Didn't you know what she was signing? What do I know? And that was some kind of response to a picture of Donald Trump with a lot of male ministers, or, well, secretaries of state. And it's easy for Swedes to sort of provoke the American government or Donald Trump, because they know deep down he's a Westerner. He's not going to bomb Stockholm. Then the Swedish government goes to Iran, and all the female ministers wears a hijab because they don't want to insult their host. Even though when you go on a state visit, you don't have to follow the country's laws because you're under diplomatic rules. So it's just stupid. I mean, Marine Le Pen, she refused to wear a hijab in Lebanon. Kudos to her for that. But Sweden are tough towards those who Sweden isn't afraid of. But Sweden always bends over backwards to those regimes it really fears. And Sweden has been criticizing Russia, Sweden has been criticizing Israel, but if anyone criticizes Sweden, they are wrong, they are liars, they are spreading dirt about Sweden, like the Swedish Minister Morgan Johansson said about the Sweden Democrats, even though they got the statistics on their side. And for instance, a claim that was made by the Swedish economist Johan Norberg in Reason magazine was that the reason that some immigrants are more criminal than the rest of the Swedish population was because they are poor. Socio-economic explanations. Well, the problem is, I mean, you could just look with your own eyes. In the no-go zones of Sweden, which they are heavily segregated. Almost everyone who lives there is an immigrant from an Islamic country, usually. This is the big picture. Of course, there are a few exceptions, but this is the big picture. But there are other places in Sweden. Places, the industry left, the jobs left, there are still people living there. They receive different kind of benefits, and it doesn't look like they really got a future there. No cars burning there. And most of the people living there are ethnic Swedes. Some of them are probably ethnic Finns too, but you get the point. And they investigated this in Denmark recently. They looked at the crime statistics, and they found out that immigrants from certain parts of the world, Middle Eastern and North African, let's just say Islamic immigrants. That's really what it's about. It's not about, I mean, to be perfectly clear, I know that liberals and leftists love to misunderstand, and they will accuse you of having said things you never said. This has nothing to do with the color of your skin. This has nothing to do with your ethnicity. This has a lot to do with culture and with Islam. Anyway, in Denmark they found out that Middle Eastern, North African, Islamic immigrants and their children, even when they adjust for the socio-economic factors, are twice as criminal as the rest of the population in Denmark. So, good luck next time, Mr. Norberg. Anyway, not to digress too much. What the thing is here is, Sweden is getting triggered. But actually, what President Trump did when he mentioned Sweden in his campaign speech last week, or a little over a week ago, was wonderful, because now they start to discuss it in Sweden. If anything happens, we'll see. There's an election coming up next year. There's still a long time to wait. So we'll see if that will solve anything. I am not very positive. But the Swedish arrogance is what really annoys me. The idea that Sweden is the greatest country in the world. Sweden's got nothing to learn from anyone else, because if they would have learned from other countries, Sweden wouldn't be in such a sorry state. But at the same time, Sweden has been the moral superpower of the world, telling others how to behave. I mean, there was something called the Swedish model, and liberals and leftists all around the world loved that. But they forgot this model worked, sort of, because Sweden was a relatively homogeneous country. It would never have worked in a country like the United States, because there are so many different groups there. But in Sweden, people trusted each other because they knew how the neighbor was thinking, they knew how people would think in another part of the country, and now Sweden is broken. So whatever you do, look at Sweden and do something else. Sweden is a warning example to the rest of the world. And thank you, President Trump, for triggering Sweden. And that's all I gotta say about this right now. I would like to thank the people who are supporting this channel through PayPal and through Patreon. And if you like this channel, please subscribe to my channel so you don't miss anything. Please share my videos. Please like my videos if you got something to say. You're free to comment. And I would also like to encourage you to support this channel. And that can be done through PayPal, and it can be done through Patreon. And I will include the necessary information about that in the box below. This is still a new channel. I'm still working on improving it. And yeah, please be patient with me. Improvements will come in a little while. This is A Swede Speaks. Have a nice day.